So hello everybody. So recently I realized that not many animators know about rotation orders. So I decided to make this video just for rotation order, just to explain how does it work. So if you're working with a rotation, let's say you are animating any guy and you are rotating his arms or rotating his legs or any part, there is a role of rotation order. Like if you don't know about rotation order, then you will definitely end up being with a messy animation, or you won't understand what's going on with your rotations. So I'm just to explain this rotation orders, I'm using this Norman rig. You can find it online, and I'm going to explain this rotation order just using this rig. So what is a rotation order? Like let's first understand why do we need to understand rotation order. Rotation order is very useful because whenever you are rotating an arm, you have to follow a certain order. So otherwise you won't be able to manage your rotations properly. So what is a rotation order? So in simple words, I can say that rotation order is order of rotations. So yeah, like let's say if I'm rotating, just to explain it simply, I'll explain it this way. That's let's say if I'm rotating this arm in Z direction, this is Z. So here we can see that there is a value change in Z, rotation Z. So I will rotate again in Z. So there is only value change in Z. Just observe this place as I'm rotating Z here, and there is value change in Z. So right now is fine, but now I am going to rotate Y, and if I'm rotating Y, I would like to only see change in Y. So let's say, okay, I am going to go ahead and I'm going to rotate Y, but Y is everything. Just because I'm rotating Y, everything here is changing. Why is this happening? Like I'm just rotating Y here and there is a value change in everything. Why is this happening? That's happening because I'm not following a proper rotation order. So I'm going to show you guys how does it work. So right now I'm animating in object mode. Like if I hold E, and if I hold left mouse click, and then I'll see that I am using in object mode. I don't have, if I want to use rotations properly, then I have to work in a gimbal mode. In gimbal mode I will see what's going on in here. So now I will see that if I'm rotating Z, then there is a value change in Z here. Now if I'm rotating Y, there is a value change only in Y, and if I'm rotating X, there is only value change in X. Why is this happening? Why there is a why whenever I work in object mode there is a problem in the rotation, and why whenever I work in gimbal everything works fine? Like again I'll explain again. Whenever I rotate Z, there is only value change in Z. Whenever I rotate Y, see, like I can do whatever I want, but there will be only one value change in this whenever I work here, because right now I'm working in gimbal. What is the meaning of gimbal? Gimbal, I'll explain it simply, that in gimbal we will see only the proper rotation of this rotation. So just to make it clear, I will go I think I'm making it more confusing. So what is a rotation order? See, let's observe this rotation. So whenever I'm rotating Z, X is following, this green rotation is X, so X is following Z, but not Y. So whenever I'm rotating Y, everything is following Y, and whenever I'm rotating X, nothing is following X. That means there is a rotation order. Like Y, everything is following Y. Both of these rotations, X and Z, are following Y, and when I rotate Z, only X is following Z, and when I rotate X, nothing is following that. That means now let's go in attribute editor, and you will see what is the rotation order is here. You will see that the rotation order is X, Z, Y. So let's write it down. The rotation order right now is X, Z and Y. So what's happening here? So what exactly is happening here is Y is parent of both of them. Whatever the letter is in last, like as we can see here in rotation order, the rotation order is Y, X, Z and Y. So I'll write it down X, Z and Y. So what's happening is whenever your rotation order is like this, whatever is the last letter, that is parent of everything. So right now our Y is in last, so that means Y is controlling X and Z both, and the second last character will control only the last one. Like let's say Z is controlling X, and whatever is at the first place is not controlling anything. So what is happening here is right now as Y is in the end, so if I will rotate Y, you have to be in gimbal mode to see this thing. So you hold E and hold left mouse click and go to gimbal. Now you will see that if I'm rotating Y only, both of these things are following Y, and in the center is Z. So if I'm rotating Z, only X is following Z, and if I'm rotating X, nothing is following that. So that means our rotation order is X, Z, Y. I know this is confusing, so let's try to work with this. So okay, before that, let's understand why do we need to follow rotation order. What's the need of rotation order? So I will go back to object mode, and I will show you guys. Okay, so why do we need to work with rotation order? I will do a minor animation and I'll show you guys why do we need to work with rotation order. So I will move this arm down. Now I will move this arm up like this. So now as you guys already see that I don't have any control on any. Whenever I'm rotating this thing, all those threes, let's say if I'm rotating Z, there is a value change in 3 of them, and even if I'm rotating Y, there is a value change in all of them, and just in X there is a only one value change. So I will explain, like it will be hard to work like this. Okay, I'll key here. I will just press S. I will select this and I will press S. Now I keyed on this frame 1. I will go to frame 40. I will make it like this. Sorry, somehow like this. And then I will go to 70, and then I will just make anything. So I made this animation. I'm not trying to make a good animation here. I'm just trying to show you guys that as I'm you guys can see that, you know, right now I'll go to graph editor. So I don't know what's going on in this graph. I just made this simple rotation, and actually I'm just rotating blindly. I don't know why am I rotating and what's the role of these curves. I'm just, and later on if I need to edit these curves, I don't know what's going on. I don't know which way is Z and which way is X. I'm walking blindly with this. So why rotation order is important? Because by using rotation orders, I have complete control. I know what's going on in this rotation. Then I will know it better, and I will be able to control it better. So let's go back. I'll delete all these keys, and now let's try to animate it with rotation order. I'll hold E and I'll go to gimbal. So now see, the first thing, whenever I work with these T poses, the first thing I do with a rig is that I move the arm down. And the second thing in most of the animation is that if a guy is standing like this with the arm down, he's going to pick up his arm like this, I mean like this. And the third thing I will do is he's going to rotate his arm like this. So I am going to keep my rotation order like this, because the first thing I will do with this character is I'm going to move his arm down. So I am going to use Y rotation to move his arm down. So that means my Y rotation should be controlling everything, because let's say if my Y is not the major controller here. Let's say right now Y is controlling both of these rotations. So let's say Y is not controlling them. We will change it to, let's say, YZX. So right now X is in the last place, so X will control both of these rotations, Y and Z. So if I move it down like this is not following it, because and I can't work like this. Like, let's say if I moved it down, and now see my rotation is messed up. If I need to do this thing again, something's wrong. I can't work like this, right? So what I'm going to do here is, whatever I'm going to do first, like first I'm going to rotate it down, that should be my last letter. So right now the first thing I'm rotating is Y, so Y should be my last letter. So Y is my last, and after I'll move it down, I will move Z. The second thing I'm rotating is Z, so Z should be in the middle. So my rotation order should be Y, X, Z, Y. Y, let's count it from the last letter, Y, Z and X. So now I have complete control of it. I moved my arm down, and now I can, even though if I'm rotating this thing, you can see here there is only value change in Z. I'm rotating Z here, and I have no problem in other values. Other values are still at same place. And now if I rotate X, still there is only value change in X. So let's say if I'm making this pose here, and I made a pose somehow like this, let's say somehow like this. See, whatever I'm doing here, I know I have, like, if I'm rotating X, there's only value change in X. So let's say I made this pose and I clicked here, I keyed here on frame 1, and then I'll go to frame 40. Then I want this hand to swing back like this, and at the same time I want my hand to rotate like this also. So so now I know what is going on here. I have complete control of Y and Z, and now let's say if I need to move my hand up like this, I have a Y controller for that as well. So I will go to I'm going to move my hand a little bit up also like this. So right now what's happening here is this thing is happening. So why I'm saying this thing right now, if I know if I need to rotate my arm with X, I know only X will work, and if I need to rotate my arm with Z, I know only Z will work. So I can do nice movements. Now I have complete control over my rotations. So if I am rotating Y, only Y is rotating, you can see here, and in this way I have more control on the rotations. I know what is going on here. So by using different rotation orders, I can if I can understand this rotation order properly, I can do nicer animation, because now if I need a different graph for Z, I can just make a nice graph here. I'm not confused anymore. And if I need a different graph for X rotation, I can make a nice graph just for X rotation. Like when you need a precise animation, when you need a nicer animation, you need to control each and every graph. You need to know why this graph is like this. And if you are working with a very complicated animation, you need to know what my rotations are doing. You can't work blindly with your rotations. So that's why we have this rotation order. So I hope this makes sense, whatever I said till now. I'll just explain it again, what is the meaning of rotation order. So again, I'll just delete this thing just to explain again. So rotation orders are again are just order of your rotations. So even though if you are not working in gimbal, let's say if you are working in object and if you are rotating these things, still there is a rotation order in this. But by working in object mode, you are just blindly animating it. You don't know what's going on in the rotation. So we have this gimbal here, gimbal mode, just to so that we can see what's going on in rotation orders. By working in rotation order, you are working more consciously. You know that whenever I'm rotating Z, there is only value change in Z. You know that there is, when I'm rotating X, there is only value change in X, and you know that when you are rotating Y, there is only value change in Y. So whenever you work with rotation orders, you can manage that my Y rotation is going to control Z and X, and my Z rotation is going to control X, and my X rotation is going to remain under both of them. So by making these kind of decisions, by understanding rotation orders, you can work like right now. Let's say I moved it down, there is only value change in Y. So this is how I use rotation order. Like whatever thing I rotate first, like whenever I work with these animation, the first thing I will do, I will move these arms down like this, because that's the relaxed position of my character. So I am rotating Y at first. Y is my first rotation, so I'm going to keep Y the parent of both of them, because I want them to move with my first rotation. So I will keep Y in the end. Again here I will keep Y in the last place, because I want Y to control Z and X, and I will keep whatever I'm going to rotate at second time. Most of the time I'm rotating Z at second time, so I'm going to keep Z in the middle. And I think this rotation I will use in the end. So I will keep X in the front, which is going to follow X and Y both. So I am not a good explainer, but I hope this makes sense, whatever I explained. If you have any questions, or if you want me to explain even more properly, then you can comment and ask me. I'll try to make another video in which I'll try to explain it in a better way. But I think it's just if you just need to understand it by yourself. If you'll animate, then you will understand what is rotation order. Rotation order is just order of your rotations. So it is a little bit complicated to understand, but if you understand it consciously, if you animate consciously with a gimbal, then you will understand. I think it'll be easy for you to understand with rotation orders, and it will be easy for you to animate in a better way and control your curves in better way. So thank you very much. This is my video for rotation orders, and like if you think that I explained it properly, and dislike if you think I should explain properly in next video. So thanks.